Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is May the 12th. It is a Tuesday today. Overall markets actually dropping here in the pre-market before FOMC, sorry, not before FOMC, before CPI. So we do have major data release this morning that is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll kind of go through some of the names that we're looking for coming to market open, and then really now just kind of wait for 8:30, and then after 8:30 we'll kind of develop our game plan coming into market open. But so far coming into today, as you can see, we are underneath our previous day lows. This is the first day that we're opening up well underneath our previous day lows. We've had a couple days where we're kind of underneath it and then we just reclaim and push back towards the upside. But today, underneath it so far. Yesterday, stayed heavy, decent amount on the Qs. SPY was kind of leading the markets back towards the upside. So first kind of sign of weakness so far. But we'll talk about the game plan here in a second. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning, P1, Calvin, Maria. Good morning, B Roots. Good morning, Martin, Andy. What's up, Knight? Hope you guys are doing well. Josh, Chris, Vate. What's up, Gerald, Deuce? What's up, Maria, Lamit, Sam, Cinna, Gusta, Cosmic, Nick. What's up, everyone? Yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Let me pull up the economic calendar here before we get started. So as you can see right here, as I mentioned, we do have major data release that is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Core CPI 8:30, and then of course we have the month over month along with the year over year. What's also going on today here as well is the Fed share nomination. That's something to keep an eye out here as well. And then of course tomorrow we have the core CPI, the core PPI month over month. So coming into market open, as I mentioned, we'll just go over some of the charts that we have coming into today, and then we will wait for 8:30. So that's in about 20 minutes here. So we'll go over our game plan, starting off with the major indices. So let's go on to the QQQ chart. As you can see here on the Qs, if you look at this on the weekly time frame, still very much bullish. Every single dip so far being bought up. If you look at this on the daily time frame, every single time we have some sort of down close candle here on the SPY, we get bought up here as well. If you look on the hourly chart, still very much bullish. As you can see here, higher lows are very much well being built. Today is going to be the first day we're underneath our previous day lows. So for the SPY chart coming into market open, you can see right here, right underneath our previous day lows or underneath our key level, which is our 738. Right now we are in a key level support here as well, which is our 736. So coming into market open, what we like to see is really the reaction that we have off this previous day low 736. If we want to see continued downside potentially right off the bat underneath 736, we can see a potential trade down in towards our 734, which happens to be our Friday's lows of last week. Of course, if we want to see a bigger push lower, we do have this gap as well that we have on the higher time frames down in towards our 732. But that is the most bearish case scenario. We'll talk about this once 8:30 hits here. If we just reclaim right back above, I'm still very much bullish here in the markets right now. Just every single time frame is fairly bullish. Besides intraday, I'd say the 5 and 15 minute intraday is going to be bearish so far, right underneath that previous day lows. But if we can reclaim back above our 736, we can see a trade back up and towards our 738. So the levels we're going to have marked out: previous day lows 736. If we go on to the ES chart, key levels that we have marked out is going to be our basically this 7400. That's our key level. This is the area that we end up using as a retest yesterday. Once we're able to get above that level, nice continuation back towards the upside. So basically right at the open of yesterday's market open. So if we do want to see downside underneath that 7400 for potential push down in towards this gap fill that we have, if we can reclaim, as I mentioned, we can see a push right back up in towards our key levels, which will be our Friday's highs and above. So keep an eye out on our 7400 here along with our 7736 here on the SPY coming into market open. If you go into the Qs yesterday was the first day where it didn't really lead the markets towards the upside. So normally speaking, something like Friday, right? This was a lot easier of a day to long towards the upside in the markets, right? SPY on Friday, you had this nice pop, but you just kind of consolidated the rest of the day compared to the Qs, which was leading the markets higher. So whenever the Qs and any other indice like the SMH is leading the markets, that's a good sign that we're just going to continue higher. Yesterday, you can see a little bit more consolidation. We were above our previous day high, so we're bullish, but you can see the continuation wasn't really there on a lot of the tech names. SPY was leading the markets higher. And now you can see we're right back at our previous day lows. So for the Qs, key levels that we have marked out, previous day highs, we also have our previous day lows marked out here as well. And currently we're underneath our previous day lows. So for the QQQ coming to market open, I'm just actually going to refine this level. I'm going to mark out this previous day low. And I'm going to drag this up. So for the Qs coming to market open, we're actually underneath our previous day lows here, which is that 710. And we're kind of in between this Friday's range from last week. If we do want to see some upside, it needs to be back above our previous day lows, above our 709, potential push up in towards that 712. Currently underneath our previous day lows. So right now, a potential pop and fade is in play. Or if we're underneath, let's say 705, which is our pre-market lows, potential room down in towards that 702. So this is what we have for the Qs coming into market open. If we zoom out just a little bit, right, higher time frame is still very much bullish, right? We're now just looking for one of two scenarios: the reclaim back above on the higher time frames, or if we can get this retest actually all the way back down in towards that 700, that would be a really good pullback long here as well on the hourly time frame. So on the hourly chart, right, big pullback down in towards that 700, or we could be looking for that reclaim back above 710 for that pushback towards the upside. So regardless, right, we're still bullish on the higher time frames, but now it's just up in towards our intraday price action. So we're going to keep an eye out on the levels, which happens to be that 710. As for the QQQ, fairly similar thesis here. If I just refine some of my levels that we do have, we have our previous day highs, and we can also mark out our previous day lows here as well, which happens to be our 29,300. So for the NQ, basically the exact same thesis, right? You only have one down close candle here, so we're waiting for that reclaim setup back above our previous day lows for a push towards the upside. Or if we see a little bit weaker price action, we're going to be looking for that long off that 28,900, which happens to be our break and retest level from last week. So two scenarios for the NQ coming into market open, along with the Qs coming into today here as well. As I mentioned, we'll just wait for core CPI. I do expect a decent reaction in about 15 minutes. So anything that we lay out, we'll go into a little bit more in depth here in about 15 minutes. Okay. If we go on to the SMH here now, so let's go into the higher time frames. SMH still very much bullish here on the weekly chart. As you can see, daily chart here as well, very much bullish. Not too many down close candles here on the SMH. And as for today, key levels that we do have marked out is basically the level that we're currently at right now. Other levels that we can mark out here as well is, of course, that previous day highs. So for the SMH, right at the previous day highs general area yesterday, nice bounce off that previous day highs, continuation towards the upside. Now we're right back down in towards our Friday's highs along with our previous day highs from last week. Buyer step in, we can see a push right back towards the upside here on the SMH. The break underneath, it hold underneath that previous day lows. We can see a potential room down in towards that 555 along with our 550 here on the higher time frames. So that's what we have for the SMH and the rest of the indices. You can see the SMH is really the most bullish ETF, as you can see right here, right around our previous day lows, right? Just a key level support. So the semis are still holding up compared to the Qs underneath our previous day lows, and SPY a little bit weaker here as well. All right, let's go into the IWM. The IWM is just kind of consolidating here. If we're looking at this on the daily time frame, what we would like to see on this name now is essentially this flat top break, right? If we're looking at this on the daily chart, we are kind of building a mini daily flag pattern. So nice continued push towards the upside, forming this daily kind of flag and flat top break. We like to see now longs above our previous day highs, which happens to be our 288. So we like to see these higher lows be built. If you kind of zoom out a little bit here on the hourly time frame, now if we do want to see longs, it has to be above our 288 for any sort of continued push towards upside. So that's what we have for the major indices coming to market open. Now we'll go into some tech names. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, we'll go over some for the next kind of 15 minutes until we wait for CPI, which is, as I mentioned, in about 15 minutes here. So if you guys have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. All right, let's first talk about Tesla. So Tesla's been one of the main things to keep, we mentioned to keep an eye out for the past couple of weeks, just because Tesla's been lagging behind. And now we reclaimed back above that 380, which was key. As you can see, this kind of inverse head and shoulders playing out fairly nicely. Also, this mini kind of downtrend break that we've had, the retest of the downtrend, and now you can see Tesla showing a lot of buyers stepping in. We mentioned the key level on Tesla here is our yearly highs. So as you can see right here, this is basically our yearly high, which happens to be our 2026 high that we created for this week. We created this year. I think we recently flipped from green to red, if I'm not mistaken, on the year here on Tesla. We've had some nice buyers above now that 380, above our 410. And you can see yesterday, nice buyer stepped in right off that previous day lows for a pushback towards the upside. So for Tesla, as you can see, some really nice buyers started stepping in right off our key levels once we're able to reclaim back above that 380 here as well. And I can see a nice move back towards the upside. So for Tesla, any major dip that we do have, I do like this one for continuation back up in towards our all-time highs. So for Tesla, now we have our 450, which is a key level. But any sort of major dip, as I mentioned, we can even see a potential dip back down in towards that 410 and still be bullish for continuation, or now really above 450, push back up in towards our all-time highs. If we look at this on the lower time frames here, we have a couple key levels. Yesterday, nice break, retest, continuation towards the upside. Now for Tesla, similar thesis, right? We're kind of in between its previous day's range. Yesterday, we had a decent range on Tesla, kind of right in between it. We're going to be looking for a couple scenarios on Tesla today. Number one, the bounce play off our high that we created here. This is going to be on Friday of last week, off our 430. Another possible scenario now that we're just going to have marked out is this pre-market high level, break back above our pre-market highs, push back up in towards that 450. Similar thing to yesterday, we want to be a little bit more cautious with right off market open. Preferably, we're going to be waiting for that 430 bounce or above our pre-market highs. So we're opening up in between its previous day's range. So we're going to be a little bit more cautious. And then we're going to wait for maybe like a 5 or 15 minute setup later into the day on Tesla. So those are the levels that we have marked out. If you go into NVIDIA, really solid, nice move towards the upside above our previous day highs. Wanted to see a little bit more consolidation on this name after having that all-time highs push. But this one held key levels and we end up pushing right off the bat. So for NVIDIA here now, key levels that we have marked out was that previous day low. So buyers end up stepping in right off the bats, and then longs were in play here above our previous day highs for a nice all-time highs push. As for NVIDIA coming into market open here, not really too much today, right in between its previous day's range. Potential long scenario above our 218. That one's gonna take a little bit longer to develop, but if you look at this on the hourly time frame so far, right, we just have Break, retest, continuation, break, retest, continuation. This is really the exact level that you'd like to see. Your previous all-time highs level, plus, of course, your high that we created here on Friday. So we would like to see buyers step in here above that 218 and then continuation towards 220 and above. If we break underneath, then we can see a little bit more weakness. Not that interested in shorting NVIDIA. EMD, nice push towards the upside yesterday above our previous day highs here as well. Currently underneath that previous day lows. So for EMD, what we would like to see is the reclaim. So a lot of the names today, we like to see the reclaim for a pushback towards the upside. If we reject underneath or underneath our pre-market lows here as well, then we could be looking for a push down in towards that 430. So that's what we have for EMD coming to market open. Apple, this one kind of basing here so far. We can keep an eye on Apple. Potential flag pattern here on the hourly time frame forming above our 291. So for Apple, let's keep an eye out for a continuation above our previous day lows for a potential move back up and towards our all-time highs here today and a move up and towards 300 potentially. So for Apple, keep an eye out on that previous day lows and our previous day highs. Google, showing a little bit more weakness the past few sessions. Zooming out just a little bit, we're actually in a very key technical area here on Google. Let's keep an eye out for buyers to step in here off that 382 and push this back up and towards that 388 and that 390. A break underneath and hold underneath here on Google can send this back down in towards this earnings high potentially. But this is a key level here, 382 on Google. Microsoft consolidation, not really too much to talk about on this one. Meta finally breaking actually towards the downside. So for Meta, keep an eye out on the previous day low rejection here coming into market open. Levels that we can have marked out is that previous day low 600 key psych level. Right now we're underneath it here on Meta, underneath that 600 key psych, potential pop and fade here for continuation towards the downside. Of course, the reclaim scenario is in play. Meta is a lot weaker on the higher time frame, so you much rather look for that pop and fade underneath that previous day lows. As for Amazon, this one still just not able to break above that earnings high, so not too much to talk about here. Earnings high was key. Now you can see was not able to break above that 276, currently back inside the middle of the range. So not too much interested in trading Amazon until we can get above that earnings high and now that all-time high. So either we're looking for that all-time highs retest, so the break above our earnings high, sorry, or now would be that previous all-time highs retest, which is that 260. And then for Netflix, this one showing a little bit more weakness, actually rejected off key levels. Now, not too much of a reaction here off this daily gap here. So for Netflix, showing a little bit more weakness, key levels that we're going to have marked out on this name. Let's actually just get rid of this. What we can have marked out here on Netflix is this low that we created from last week. Other levels that we could have marked out now is going to be that previous day lows, which is our 85.20. So for Netflix, if you do want to see continuation, now underneath our previous day lows for this continued push towards the downside. Okay, we do have about 6 minutes until some red folder news events. We'll go over a few tickers here now. I do see some in the chat that we'll go over. If you guys have a few other ones, as I mentioned, now you guys can drop them in the chat. Are you constantly watching all these tickers? If not, when the hell do you have time to constantly update these levels? So when you're looking at these names, right, we'll look out over them in the pre-market. So we have a bunch of names that we'll go over. We'll go over a couple more other ones here as well. But mainly I'll try and break it down into like 2 to 3 top watches every morning. So 2 to 3 top watches that I look for coming into market open. And then for the rest of the tickers, we'll just kind of set alerts. So if alerts, let's say a name like NVIDIA, or let's say for Tesla, for example. Let's say this was a secondary watch. Let's say this wasn't really on our main screen. I would just set an alert for 450, or now it'd be like our 430. So if it broke above our 450, then we can keep an eye out on Tesla for the potential previously high break and retest, or something like NVIDIA, similar thing. If NVIDIA, we're looking for that previous day highs, right? Set an alert here at 218. If it breaks above, then we can be interested on NVIDIA for continuation. So we already have these charts marked out. We do this in the pre-market, and then you can set alert for your other tickers. So you don't have to constantly watch like 10 to 20 different tickers. You can watch 2 to 3, and then just whenever alert goes off, then you can keep an eye out on it. All right, let's go on to a couple memory names here. So MU, SNDK, Intel, slowing down just a little bit. We were obviously at all-time highs, right? MU gapped up yesterday, had nice continuation. Intraday didn't really do too much yesterday, but nice push towards the upside. Now, right back at our previous day lows. So what we have here is our 770. We actually have a gap. So this is our previous day lows. We also have a gap here that we created. Right now, we're right at our previous day low. So really, for longs, we can look for that previous day low retest for a pushback towards the upside, or we can be waiting for that Fridays. If that fills the gap, that would be a nice long scenario here as well. So two scenarios: either the previous day low bounce coming to market open, or let's say if price gravitated down in towards our 750, which is our Friday's lows, we can be looking for a potential bounce play here off our 750 for continuation higher here as well. So for MU, this one, look at this on the daily chart. Every single dip so far has been bought up. Right, another gap up here in the markets. As long as you can maintain above that daily gap, I like to see continuation towards the upside. So for MU, this one's still very much bullish. Right, higher lows are being built here on the hourly time frame. Right, above our 740, still maintaining for continuation higher. So for SNDK, this one, similar thesis here. SNDK key level that we have marked out is our 1500. Underneath our previous day lows here now as well. I'd like to see it above our 1500 for this pushback towards the upside. Levels that we can have marked out in this case, we can actually just refine some of our levels. Previous day lows, let's actually just mark out that previous day highs. And then we can also mark out this high that we created from last week, which happens to be our 1460. So for SNDK coming into market open here, what I would like to see is the reclaim back above our previous day lows for a continuation higher. Intel, similar thesis here. Intel, as you can see, right around our previous day lows. Yesterday, a nice buyer stepped in. Didn't really do too much on Intel. If we do want to see some upside back above our 124 for a continuation back towards the highs. If we break underneath and let's say we hold underneath that previous day lows, then there is a potential we can be looking for a short later into the day down in towards that 116, which of course is this news candle high. So for Intel now, of course, the higher time frame is still very much bullish, but I'm a little bit more neutral intraday. Basing it off of intraday price action, right? We're gonna be a little bit more neutral on the higher time frames, right? Just longing up here at our all-time highs now after being fairly overextended. We're gonna need to see some sort of pullback or consolidation if I'm very much interested in longs. Or if we want to look for the next leg towards the upside, right? The higher time frames is still bullish, as I mentioned, but we like to see some sort of pullback if we do want to go long on some of these tickers. All right, we do have about 1 more minute until market open. Something like WDC, right? This one had nice consolidation yesterday, so this is a nice higher time frame setup, right? Kind of have this consolidation break. If you want to call this a flat top here as well, right? These are the moves we're trying to look for. Something like this, 480s. TSM lagging behind a little bit as well. We have a couple other names here. Let's go over Qualcomm. This one, nice push towards the upside above our previous all-time highs. Key levels that we can have marked out today. Let's just mark out this previous day lows. Let's mark this out. And we can also mark out that previous day highs here as well, which happens to be our 228. Qualcomm longs above our previous day lows or potential pullback down in towards that 222. Name that was solid yesterday, it was MVTS. I didn't really talk about it too much in the pre-market, but this one, right, names like this, right, where you have a base daily flag pattern, nice continuation towards the upside. So these are the type of names that we like to look for. All right, we just had core CPI. Let's go back onto the lower timeframes here. So far, we have a fairly small reaction. Qs, SPY having a little bit of a bigger reaction here right off that previous day lows. QQQ, a little bit of reaction here as well. All right, so if we're looking at the numbers that we have just came in, core CPI month over month, forecasted 0.3%, actual 0.4%, came in a little bit higher. For the CPI month over month, came in line with expectations, and the year over year 3.7 with the actual which was 3.8. So a little bit over expected on the month over month, the core CPI month over month, along with the CPI year over year. As you can see currently, the markets are having a small reaction based off this information. SPY just kind of right at our previous day lows here as well. So coming to market open, the game plan is still going to be intact. We're going to keep an eye out on our previous day lows here on the Qs, which is a little bit farther away. As for the SPY, now the key level, similar thing. It's going to be that previous day lows. We can refine this just a little bit more if we'd like. To that previous day lows exactly, along with our Thursday's highs here of last week. So for the SPY coming to market open, as I mentioned, underneath that previous day lows, so far we're getting a little bit of reaction. We can see room down in towards that 734. As for the QQQ, right now underneath that previous day lows, we do have room down in towards 702. Right now, we are kind of in between this Friday's range, so it might be a little bit more trickier coming into market open, a little bit farther away from that previous day lows, and we're a little bit farther away from our 702. So right in between the middle of the range, we're going to have to use that first opening range candle since we are farther away from its previous day highs and its previous day's lows. So we'll use that opening range as a reference point coming to market open on both the SPY and the Qs. As for the SMH, now we just need to see reclaim. So a lot of the setups coming into market open are setting up not today on the higher time frames, but right now we're currently pulling back. And this is the first day we're underneath our previous day lows, or we're going to be waiting for some sort of consolidation. So for something like Tesla, as I mentioned, the best long case scenario above our pre-market highs for continuation, or if we can see some sort of pullback long down in towards our 732, that would be a good area for this continued pushback towards the upside. Nvidia, similar thesis here, right? We're right at a key point of interest, 218. I like to see a little bit more consolidation coming to market open, and then we can see a potential pushback towards the upside. EMD, now we're waiting. Similar thing, reclaim back above our previous day lows, or we'd be waiting for that pullback long down in towards that 430. So a lot of these names right now are currently underneath our previous day lows. So we're going to be waiting for that if we want to reclaim back above. One of my favorite setups so far coming into today is going to be Apple. Let's keep an eye on Apple. This one forming a 1 hour flag pattern here above our previous day low. So let's keep an eye on Apple for a potential move back towards the upside here, back up in towards that 295. That's going to be the main watch, one of the main watches coming to market open. Google, potential bounce play here off that 382. Microsoft in the middle of the range. Meta showing a little bit more weakness now underneath our previous day lows. Amazon not really looking for too much. Similar thing here with Microsoft. As for some of the semiconductors, so we're still holding up here. All right, the stream should be reconnected here as well. If you guys do have any issues, you guys can just click the refresh button and you guys should be set. Yeah, you guys should be back. If you have any issues, just refresh the stream. But yeah, for MU, this is the game plan coming to market open, the retest of that 750 or the reclaim back above that previous day lows. And then Intel, similar thing. So I'm still more today. It's going to be a reversal setup. So we're going to be looking for the reclaim back above our previous day lows for a potential move back up in towards our previous day close. So the names that all these names coming into market open are more mean reversion setups off the previous day lows coming into today. As for a couple other ones that are still somewhat holding up compared to the overall markets, let's look at some of these here on the daily chart. I'll go to let Walter in here in a bit. But some of the names that we're looking for, Marvel, let's keep an eye on this one here based off the daily chart. If you can get that break back above that 172, kind of forming this flat top break here on the daily, we need it above our 172 for continuation. So for this one, if we do want to look for some upside though, as I mentioned, above our 172. So we can kind of mark out this general area. If we want to see continuation, 172.50, longs are in play above that. As for a couple names, MSTR and Coin kind of right at a key breakout level. So this is our previous level of resistance. We broke above it yesterday. This daily chart is starting to flip back towards the upside fairly nicely. So you can see higher lows are being built here. Now for something like MSTR, you can see multiple touches, potential retest off this 190 for continuation towards the upside. Coin is something you can keep an eye out for here as well above, right? Trying to break out here on the daily chart. Break and retest above our 210 is in play for continuation towards the highs. So keep an eye on a couple of these ones. Bitcoin's been lagging behind the overall markets. So something similar, kind of like Tesla, lagging behind the overall markets. Now, these are some things that definitely can move. So based off the daily chart, right, the break above, let's keep an eye out on a break above our 210 on coin, and then MSTR, it's above that 190. As for a few other ones, right, HIMS had some earnings yesterday, dropping this one towards the downside. So a couple names had earnings, right? MP, like CRWV, these ones had earnings last week, so it's going to take a little bit longer to set up. As for everything else, I don't really see too much that I like a lot here in the markets after yesterday's, now the pullback, sorry, today here in the pre-market. Really, it's just going to be Tesla above our pre-market high. So we can just mark out this still. We can mark out NVIDIA above our 219 previous all-time highs. So NVIDIA is going to be the main watch coming to market open if buyers can step in here off this 218. And then we'll keep an eye out on AMD. It's going to be the reclaim back above our 452 and Apple. So main watches today is just going to be Tesla, NVIDIA, AMD. As for the rest of the names, we're going to keep an eye out on the previous day low reclaim. A lot of the other Mag 7s have been lagging behind, specifically, right, Meta, Microsoft, we have Netflix here. So these are ones you don't really want to be trading, right? Microsoft, Meta, and Netflix. As for Google and Amazon, these ones are still nice on the daily chart, but at least for intraday trading, really nothing has happened this month so far on a bunch of these ones. So we'll continue to focus in on Tesla, NVIDIA, and AMD. As for the rest of the tickers, I still like MU along with the rest of the semis and memory names right off our previous day low. So we are seeing some buyers here right off that previous day lows here on MU. So that previous day low bounce is in play for a potential pushback towards the upside. Similar thing, SNDK, the reclaim back above, and even Intel now, right, buyers are stepping in here off that 124. So it does seem like we're having a little bit of bounce here with the Qs bouncing now right at our previous day lows. So coming into market open, right, 709 is going to be key, right? Longs are still in play for a reclaim back above. If we reject, then I'm going to be a little bit more hands off. But if we can reclaim back above, then we could be looking for longs back towards the upside. So the game plan, right, longs for a reclaim back above our previous day lows, currently SPY right back above. So we're a little bit more bullish on SPY right now, but longs are in play for a push back up and towards that previous day close. So that's what we have coming into market open. Do you wait for the reclaim? The reclaim, you don't need the break and retest. So let's say, for example, Tesla or NVIDIA reclaiming, or even let's say the Qs. Let's say if you can get some sort of reclaim intraday, we can be looking for an immediate retest. It doesn't have to be the cleanest retest, but we can be looking for some sort of immediate retest, the reclaim back above the key level, which would be a lot more aggressive, or some sort of, right, pre-market high retest, the previous day low retest, or maybe the opening range retest for a pushback up and towards our previous day close. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. As I mentioned, I'm still bullish here on the higher time frames. We'll keep an eye on the reaction here off that previous day lows, but if we can reclaim with strength, we'll just be looking to trade all these names back towards the upside. Had a couple pullbacks in the pre-market, but that's really good. Just because we're pulling back, so the reclaim setup is in play for almost all these tickers. So same tickers that we've been watching, nothing else has changed, so we'll keep an eye out on those ones. Yeah, that's going to be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for market open here now. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free watch list, that of course is in the description below. And yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care everyone. Peace.